Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. It is Sunday today, and every Sunday I tend to come and do a little bit of a walk around the garden and a chat about what's gone on for the week and things like that. So that is what I'm doing. Now, normally garden tours at this time of the year would be fantastic, but anyone who's seen any of my recent videos knows that garden this year is next to nothing. So we don't have many updates, but we are doing a weekly watermelon update because I have a single watermelon that is doing well, and it's pretty neat. So we got to celebrate the wins when we have the occasional win, don't we? So I'm going to give you a look at the watermelon because I'm standing near that at the moment. It's just to, update it, but it has been extremely hot and extremely dry. We've had a whole lot of car troubles as well, so we've had some issues with fetching enough water to sort everything out. So things are looking a little lackluster. It's also mid-afternoon, so it's also just past the hottest part of the day, so everything's a bit droopy, which is pretty normal. But the beans gave me a good flush, and they're dying off already because the heat and the lack of water. And we got some really good fresh eating beans out of that, but not much else. And my tromboncinos and my raspberries and my strawberries, all of them are really struggling. They are on the lines to have the grey water, which I'll update. I'll walk around and update that with you as well, as how we're going with getting the grey water working. But I've just noticed that not many of my tomato seedlings have survived, and the ones that have survived just aren't doing much of anything. Like, tomatoes normally take off in the heat and nothing's taking off. So again, nothing nice to really update about in the garden. I will take you over and show you where I'm clearing to put the new seedling staging area. So we've had a lot of problems with seedlings, with pests, and with mice and all the rest of it. So I'm setting up a new seedling staging area. So I'm going to put some weed matting down. I've started pulling the weeds. I'll show you in a sec. Wait a sec. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you the watermelon because I'm standing beside the watermelon. So this week's update on the watermelon, it's getting a good size. It's still got a bit to go by the looks of it, but it's getting a good size. But the rest of the plant, I haven't found any fruit at all on the rest of the plant. And I did just notice that we've got that there. Let me see if I can get it to focus. That there is an Asian lady beetle, and that is what's doing, see all the leaf that's been eaten there? So we need to squish that one. Asian lady beetles eat foliage, whereas the lady beetles that I released to eat the aphids and that eat aphids and stuff, that one, this sort with the really symmetrical lots and lots of dots. I think they're also called the 28 spotted lady beetle or something like that as well, because they have these really symmetrical and lots of dots. They eat the foliage, and they can, if you get enough of them, they can defoliate a plant until it dies. So whenever I see those ones, I give those ones a squish. That's the only one I can see at the moment, and that leaf there is the only leaf that I can see with any significant damage, so that might be the only one that's hanging around at the moment, but I will get rid of that one. This plant here is what I think is a butternut squash or some sort of thing. This is what the fruit looks like on it. It's a bit of a mystery plant as well. I did last video talk about hand pollinating, and someone asked me to show you, and I haven't really had the opportunity to, so I have missed this one, but I'm going to show you anyway. So you have two types of flowers on these plants. You have a female flower, which has the fruit behind it like that, and then you have a male flower, which only has a stalk, no fruit. And so you need them both, the stamens in the middle, to touch on both and spread that pollen to pollinate them. So what you would do is you would grab this male flower off here with all the pollen on it. So you just pull a male flower off, and then on the female flower with the fruit, what you do is you peel back to the stamen however you need to make it easy to use. So you pull it back to that stamen, and then in the inside of the female flower you would, hard to do this one-handed, you would pull, let me get this leaf out of the way. Give me a second. Let's bend that leaf, it's not important anyway. So then what you would do is you would put this stamen inside the flower. So this is a bit late because normally you'd want this flower to be nice and fresh as well. So this one probably didn't get pollinated and probably won't grow. And you take the stamen with all the pollen on it and you put it on the inside of the female flower like that, and you move it around so that the pollen is so it's pollinating that fruit. Now I don't have any other fruit on here at the moment that is pollinatable. There is 2 up here, but the flowers aren't open on them yet. So once these flowers open, that's when I can pollinate them, but you can't pollinate them till they're open. But that's how I go around and I hand pollinate them. So I missed the window on this one, so we will see if it grows. If it has been pollinated, it will just continue to grow, and if it hasn't, it will just shrivel up and it won't do anything. I'm still coming out and harvesting the onions as they look good. So this one looks like it needs to be pulled and harvested, so I take the whole thing in, and then if the bulb on the bottom is usable, I use it as well. This one's squishy, this one's not very usable, but I take the stalk in like that, and then so some of them aren't quite dried out yet enough. This one hasn't dried out yet, so leave that one a bit longer, but this one's nice and dry, so I'll be able to get all those seeds out of that one. So as I go, I just pull them out and I take the bulbs. Look, this one didn't even flower, so that bulb is probably perfect to use. So I've been doing that with the onions as well, but that's sort of all I'm getting out of the garden at the moment. So out here is where we're going to put the seed staging. So we're pulling up all these weeds here, and then I'm going to lay some weed matting down and put the structure up to do it here. It gets sun for most of the day, but it gets some shade as well. It's going to have the solar structure will block some of the wind, which will protect the structure a little bit as well. And then we will rebuild the hothouse properly this time over here, and then that way they're nice and close to each other, and that still has power for the seedling mats and stuff like that. So we're working on clearing this and getting weed matting down so that we can put the galvanized structure up, and then I have shade cloth to cover it, and we're going to put a door on it and things like that. So that's still a work in progress, and as you can see, everything is just dying off. It is just so hot and so dry at the moment that I'm not going to get anything else out of my strawberries or raspberries this year, but at least I know that they'll come back next year. So unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So this is the grey water that we're setting up now. I have got footage of as we set it all up, so when we eventually get it running, I'll do a video up from start to finish. But we're using baffles and gravel to filter the water, and this is the water that comes from the bathtub only at the moment because we didn't want to use too much. The problem is that we were going to use this grey water system here, which was a second-hand system that we bought, and it has its own filters and everything built in, but the filters that were in it, they would just clog up constantly and then it wouldn't run. So we're going to stick the container in the hole at the end and just have the pump in there, except that then we got all that rain and the container floated and everything twisted and it wouldn't work, and then the hole filled in, and so now as you can see we've got this sludgy disgusting hole at the moment. So we're in the process of digging that out. We just pumped all the water out of that. We're in the process of digging that out. Then we have a small pump there. They're from eBay and they're low wattage, fantastic little pumps. We use that for filtering the pool last year as well, and it's what I'll use for the aquaponics when I set it up with the ducks. And then we bought a float that has a piggyback cable. So the float will just plugs in, then the pump plugs into the float, or vice versa. And when the float floats, then the pump will kick in and the water will pump out, and when it drops, the pump will kick out. So that's the plan, because this is our bath water, so we want it to continuously be pumping out as the bath water enters in, and then eventually we will get some plants to go in this as well to help clean the water as well. Some grass was growing in there, but we've just pulled it out because you don't really want grass in there. So that is the plan. It's still a work in progress. It's still been quite an extensive work in progress. It's been ongoing for a while now, and unfortunately it just hasn't worked. So the actual filter system set up with the baffles and the gravel, as I said, I've got other footage of that. I'll share that later when we first set it up. We just need to get it pumping through the grey water system, which is already installed, because we did use that smaller system for quite a while, but it it would stop working. Like, you might run it for one day and then it would have an alarm saying that the filters were dirty, and they're supposed to be washable filters, so you'd wash them, but then you'd hook it back up and it wouldn't work again. So we gave up on it and then decided that we were going to do this. Then it just took time to get this in process, and then that wouldn't work with it, and it's all been ongoing. Anyway, my fruit trees are really, really suffering at the moment. We don't have a hose long enough to reach them. We do watering can water them on occasion, but obviously that's nowhere near enough water for them, because carting watering cans it's just not enough. So we are hoping to get this sorted tomorrow or the next day. We've got pond liners to line that hole, and we're just going to suspend the pump in there with the float, and hopefully that will work. We'll test it out in tomorrow night's bath. So we'll run the bath water through it tonight to clean out some of that gunk and get that dug out better, and then we will do it again tomorrow, get the pump set up, and hopefully get the grey water working again and those fruit trees back on the mend. Luckily, the fruit trees, much like the raspberries and the strawberries, should come back. They should flourish again once they're getting constant water. That's the hope anyway. So that's the grey water that we're sorting out now. The seed staging area that we're getting sorted, hopefully in the next couple of days as well. Mum is coming. Let me get out of the sun. It's awfully warm today. My mum is coming to visit later in the week because it's Australia Day. So that will be nice, and we will make some nice food because she's visiting. At the moment I can stand behind the washing here and be in the shade. At the moment we're working through the hamper stuff. I've got to make salsa. I didn't get to it today, so I'll probably do it tomorrow. So I will film that and share that. I've had a few requests to share salsa, so I will make a big batch of it and can that up because we love having salsa on the shelves. And other than that, things are... the car. I haven't updated on your car. So, Inter and Chris contacted me. I mentioned that last week. From watching me on YouTube, they contacted me on Facebook and offered to come and have a look at the car. They had a look at it, and we discovered that there was some lack of transmission fluid and some hoses that had some damage and things like that. So we bought all the parts, and Inter and Chris met up with Darryl at where we had it stored. I'm getting a face full of washing, and went to check it out and see if they could repair it. So they replaced the filters and the gaskets and hoses and everything for me, and the car is running at the moment. So we are extraordinarily grateful. The cost of the parts was minimal in the scheme of the cost of a new transmission. Thank you very much to Inter and Chris, and I will have to find a way to say thank you at some point, even if you don't want it. I feel obliged to and need to for my benefit. And now we just need to get the transmission serviced and hope that there's nothing else found. So we're trying to book that in early this week in Toowoomba to get sorted. But Darryl managed to come home in the Ranger, which was really nice. We just don't want to thrash it too much until we've had the transmission serviced, and we do need to car water and things like that. So we can't be too long before we get that done. So Darryl's going to have to call them up on Monday. The problem being that he's going to have to go into Toowoomba to do it and then just spend the entire day within walking distance of where he's dropped it off to waste time. So that will be fun for him. So at the moment it's looking like the parts and that we got done, and then whatever the transmission service costs us, we'll get it all back and running again. So that is just absolutely amazing. I'll keep you updated as so it doesn't feel that hot today, but my phone overheated, so I had to go back inside and let it cool down while to continue to film. So I left off, I think I said at the moment it's all sorted, and we are super grateful, and we will see how it goes, and I'll keep you updated as we find out more about the car. And thank you very much to everyone who's been concerned for us and sent me messages and all the rest of it, and just absolutely wonderful. Thank you to Inter and Chris. So that's the car, garden, grey water. I think that's the stuff I said I was going to talk to you about today. Other than that, not much has been going on. We're just plodding along like normal, getting the kids into a new routine with their schoolwork for the new year, and trying to get stuff done around not having a car and things like that. So we have a little while to go before we do the next shopping trip, and yeah, just plodding along. So that's it for me today, and I will see you again probably tomorrow. I do have that beef canning video that has been requested to set up for you. I also canned some sausage and potato soup again too, so I have that to share, and I'm going to do the salsa as well. So I've got a few different things canning related to share with you this week, which works because it's apparently Canuary, and it by a few different YouTubers celebrate Canuary, and they do a bunch of canning in January, so there you go. But it needs to be done, and that's why I do it. Not doing it for any specific purpose, it just needs to be done. I was waiting on a whole bunch of my lids to turn up. I ordered brand new lug lids and they hadn't turned up. I ordered them on 14th of December or something, and they only just turned up this week. So couriers can be a little fickle out here and only come out to us when they've got multiple parcels to come out. It's really frustrating. So anyway, I got my lids, so that's good. It means I can reuse all my supermarket jars to can my salsa in 500 ml-ish sort of jars, which works out well. So I'm going to do that. And then start prepping for the next shopping trip, I guess. And I'll keep you updated with the grey water and stuff. And if I get it working, I'll put that whole video together. So I've been keeping footage of all the lead up to getting it sorted and stuff too, so showing you how we put the baffles in and that sort of stuff. So alrighty then, have a good rest of your weekend everyone, and I will see you again next time. Thanks guys for watching.